This is a tricky one. I'm not worried about the rules of journalism and contempt of court, because I know that you understand them, and we are all grown-ups on this programme. So.
Oh, we're all grown-ups here on the James O'Brien Show. Is that right, James? Well, that's good to know, because here on the Daniel Boland Show, not so much. We're like a load of savage children running round in basically loincloths at this point. It's like Lord of the frickin' Flies down here. And we're coming for you, piggy!
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what's going on, basically a car slammed into a crowd of Liverpool fans yesterday as they were celebrating their club's parade through the city centre following the Premier League title win on Sunday, and about 50 people have been injured, some of them critically, some of them children, so obviously thoughts and prayers go out to all of those people. Now, the very strange thing to a lot of people is that immediately following the incident, the police released a description of the suspect. They very, very quickly announced that it was a white British man of 53 years of age. Now, that did strike everyone as a little bit weird, as they're normally very guarded about describing suspects in similar cases. But I think that is, there are arguments to be made as to why they did that. Now, I'm going to limit my hot takes on anything surrounding this case, any speculation, because unlike James O'Brien, I am fearful of being in contempt of court. Nowadays, I don't want to become Tommy Robinson. I don't want to be an Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the way the UK is going at the moment. No one's taking me off to the gulag, right? I'll leave the hot takes in today's video to James O'Brien. He's such a brave, fat little shill I'm not like him. I can't say the things he says. He's so bold and brave and beautiful. Let's get into the video.
So there is a suspect in the horrors that unfolded on the streets of Liverpool yesterday, and an arrest has been made. Charges have not been brought. We will not be discussing anything with regard to what happened, especially, except insofar as how the police chose to describe the suspect. And it is new. This is something that I don't have enough confidence in my... What's the word I want? I said news antennae in the little talk-up.
News antennae.
Pants!
News antennae, I said. I quipped. More like news gaydar.
I said news antennae in the little talk-up at the end of Nick's show. It should be a better word than that. I don't have enough confidence in my convictions, almost. I don't have enough courage in my convictions to be 100% certain that my inklings last night when this story first broke were correct. But they were. I've checked with people who are much older, well, not older necessarily, but much more experienced and much more reliable in these matters than I am. They have chosen to describe the suspect in this case as a white British man, a 53-year-old white British man. So far, it could be me.
How crazy is that? James O'Brien is getting visibly excited, aroused, dare I say, at the fact that it was a white British man, and that he suspected that straight away. He was like, could it be? His news antennae started tingling, and he started going, I think I better go and check with the village elders, but I suspect it could be a white British man. And then the village elders confirmed that it was, and he went, oh my God, it's a white, it could have been me. I think he would actually career his vehicle into a crowd of innocent people just so he could turn around and go, see, I told you it could be someone like me. How much does this guy hate himself and anyone like him? How can you be so self self-loathing. It's crazy.
A 53-year-old white British man from the Liverpool area. And what I had to check with more experienced colleagues was that this is a new development. This is not something that would ordinarily have happened. And I think it's pretty clear why it has happened. Because of fears of far-right provocateurs either taking to social media to spread lies and misinformation about the identity, the ethnicity, the religion, the immigration history of the suspect, or, and this is where I get really worried, or had the suspect ticked some of the boxes beloved of far-right racist provocateurs, then I can't help worrying now that the message from the police would be, we now expect violence, but we don't expect it when we tell you that the suspect is a 53-year-old white British man.
Okay, so I've got a couple of observations to make about James O'Brien's musings there. And for anyone else who thinks like James O'Brien, you know, any other patronising, disdainful, disingenuous shills. Why is it, I've got a question, I'm musing now. Why is it that every time something you don't like happens, particularly, it's invariably something that happens in the white working class, like they vote for Trump or they vote for Farage or whatever. Why is it, or they protest because they're angry about some atrocity that has been carried out by a foreign contingent. Why is it that you always think that they're reacting the way they are, they're voting the way they are, they're showing emotions that you don't understand? You assume that they're being manipulated by Putin, by the extreme right provocateurs, as you just said. Now, I'm absolutely, if you were to say that there are people who take those sentiments and run with them, and they are populists and they're just as disingenuous as you, then absolutely, right? But you're not saying that. What you're saying is that every time anyone reacts a way that you don't understand, it can't come from a genuine place. It just has to be that they're such small-minded cretins that somebody's tricked them into doing it. All right? Now, having said all that, maybe it's a good idea now for the police to say very quickly it was a white man, don't smash everything up. To me, it feels like if they were dishonest all the time, people wouldn't want to be smashing everything up. You know? That's just my suspicion. If we could just be honest about everything all the time, then people wouldn't feel disenfranchised and lied to. Okay? Just a thought.
And I know there is a world of difference between expect and invite, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm struggling to see where the line between the two is this morning. I'm really struggling not to see this development as a tacit admission that when the suspect in a case like this is brown or Muslim or not from these shores originally by birth, then it would somehow be, what word do I want now? Acceptable?
No, James, that's not it at all. People don't like any kind of violence. But if somebody whose family have lived in the region for thousands of years commits a crime, you look inwards, right? They were here. It's our responsibility. If the powers that be, on the other hand, are importing millions and millions of people over a couple of decades, and they're not like you. They're not living in the butts in Brentford. They're living in shithole areas of places in Liverpool, Manchester, Sheffield. They're seeing the consequences of people coming into the country in their hundreds of thousands, millions, and not integrating. And that some of those communities have a proclivity, that's a word you like, for certain behaviours. Then their reaction is, fucking hell. You know, as much as I want to be personally responsible for everything that happens to me, as many Jordan Peterson videos as I've watched, you kind of go at some point, like, God, you know? I'm doing my best here and everything's just going to shit. Now, you might think that that's Kremlin propaganda. But then, what would you know in the butts in Brentford?
Acceptable? Probably not. Unless you're one of the people minded to get involved in that kind of violence. What message do you take away from this decision to pander to your prejudices?
Pandering to prejudices is one way of looking at it, but I mean, you could also look at it as, see, I told you so, and them having a boner like you do over it, over the fact that it was an English white man, you know. Like I say, I think honesty is the best policy, James.
And remember that in the case of the Southport killings, the prejudices were false.
Ah, yes, the Southport atrocity, yes. Lest we forget how wrong everybody's prejudices were there. It turned out to be a Welsh choir boy, didn't he? Yeah. They did, in fact, get some false information at the time. They confused a machete-wielding Muslim man in the area for the actual suspect, who was a Welsh choir boy, as you saw there. The hatred that these people, I mean people like James O'Brien, and it is hatred that they have for the white working class, really, it should be studied. That's something people say a lot now, isn't it? The fact that he and people of his ilk think that they can mention what happened in Southport ever again, after the way they've been gaslighting the British public over the last few months over it, after the way they've imprisoned people for reacting emotionally to it. Yes, some bad things happened. Yes, there was some misinformation. They thought it was a Muslim asylum seeker, but then to make out it was a Welsh choir boy, as Welsh as fucking Snowden, wasn't he? And then to use what happened in Southport as a kind of gotcha moment. See how you're all so stupid? You see how the right-wing provocateurs manipulated you again? Only trust us, right? It's sickening.
The people spreading lies and misinformation for clicks and influence were in possession of precisely zero facts. The usual suspects jumping on the usual bandwagons to whip up hatred of asylum seekers. Now they're trying to defend a woman who pleaded guilty to incitement to racial hatred after calling for a pogrom to start.
Now, James, I've got to say, I've made a lot of jokes about you in today's video and in the previous video I made about you, but you really are... You're an evil piece of shit. I'm not kidding. So the woman he's referring to is the wife of a Conservative councillor, Lucy Connolly, who spent the last 7 months in jail after she made an admittedly an ill-advised, a stupid and emotional social media post in the immediate aftermath of the hacking to death of a number of small children in Southport by the young Welsh choir boy. And her being, you know, her mother of 3 young children, who's been in prison for 7 months now, after she made that emotional tweet and then deleted it a few hours later. I think, you know, a human, a real person, would be able to cut her some slack. But James O'Brien isn't a real person. He's a husk. He's an empty shell, riddled with, you know, overcome by his ego. I'd say probably a fair bit of alcoholism. Speculation, got no idea, right? No, I could be completely wrong there, James. Just judging by your complexion and your ever more bloated appearance. I retract it. What I don't retract is this. I hope something like what happened to Lucy Connolly happens to you or your wife. Good luck.
Man, who pleaded guilty to incitement to racial hatred after calling for a pogrom to start in hotels full of people wholly innocent of any crimes. But that is the world we live in now. That is the country we inhabit.
Yeah, it is, James. That's the world we live in. That's about the size of it. And you know what? It's your fault. It's people like you. It's weak, spineless, deceitful, disingenuous, fat little pigs like yourself. I'm sick of mincing my words and trying to sound funny about it. It's not funny. If, like James O'Brien and all these wobbling jellyfish, feel that people are edging further and further towards the extremes in society. Let's face it, it's the extreme right. They don't care about the extreme left. When would they ever have cared about that? The more chaos and filth, the better for those scumbags. If you think that people are edging further and further towards the extreme right, it's people like James O'Brien who are to blame. The people who talk down, who lie, who gaslight. Every time somebody who's not in their intellectual clique questions something that's going on, well, who are they to question anything? They don't have this utopian vision for the world that the people in the butts in Brentford probably have. Anyway, we've had a great time. I'm going to do a funny video tomorrow, I promise. I know there's been a lot of political stuff lately. I'm sick of it too. Screw this guy, screw other people like him. There is no debating them. Fuck them. Yeah. That's all I got to say about this. If in any way you've enjoyed the video or agreed with any of the points, give the video a like. Even if you haven't, you've made it this far, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What the hell are you doing with your life? Let me know what you think in the comments, but be careful. You know, don't want to end up like Lucy Connolly, Tommy Robinson, Solzhenitsyn. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on X to find out when a new video comes out. That's all those links are under this video, and you can join my Patreon if you want to get some access to some exclusive videos that I make from time to time and help out with the channel a little bit further. And by the way, give hell to the people who did the Jordan Peterson interview a couple of days ago. They've got 2 million views on their original video, and I've made a lovely reaction video to it, and they've claimed all the copyrights to it. So I'm not getting any money from that lovely Jordan Peterson video I made yesterday. Give them hell. Okay? But don't say who sent you. Just, you know, say that they're rats. Okay? All right. I'll see you in the next one.
That's a frog, isn't it?